All right, we are live. I'm really excited about this one, folks. This is all about finding your personal voice, how to be authentic in sales. And it's personal for me because I have taken heat and I have gotten kudos on my voice. Now, if you don't know me, my voice is direct. I call it as it is. I do it with respect. I'm not afraid to jump in when I shouldn't jump in. When everybody else is saying, "Attaboy, I agree with you," like, I'm the guy that jumps in and says, "I don't agree, and here's why." That's loaded. Because all of a sudden, your voice, your personality, who you are can be that guy, that woman who is just the negative Nelly, who's like, crashing the party and adding no value. You want personality. You want voice. You want to establish your brand. You want to be taken seriously. You want to make an impact. Ideally, perhaps your whole goal is to be perceived and recognized as an influencer, no matter what your goal is. If it's simply building up your resume for that next kick butt job, or you want to be a mover and a shaker in the industry, in the community, like sales, if that's what you want to be, then you got to know your voice. You got to know your voice, and you got to do it, and you got to stick to the plan. And so many people screw this up or just approach it wrong. So I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to actually have a webinar on it. I'm going to bring in the world's top dog who's all about authenticity. So we move on. Let's meet that next top dog. Let me introduce you to Keenan, CEO and president, love this, of A Sales Guy Inc. My good friend, how are you today?
I am great, brother. I am great. Thank you.
You're looking great. Look, he's standing up. Okay, just a marketer for a second. I dig it. A couple things going on here. You check out what he's doing. He's standing up. He's got his branding behind him. He's selling his gap selling, which, by the way, #1 seller over and over again. If you haven't read it yet, go get it. And look at the energy that's just oozing out of this guy. He is on. He's bouncing. This man, he's come prepared. He's going to give his A game. I actually had a conversation with Daniel Disney not too long ago saying, my goodness, Keenan and I, with our attitudes in the same screen, this could blow up. So who knows? I'm looking forward to today's conversation. What we're talking about, it is going to be good. I'm looking forward to this. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to cover today. Basically, we're going to walk through a series of, shall we say, talking points around authenticity. We're going to define what that is. Likability. Do you need to be liked or not? Self-awareness. You got to know who you are before you can go out there and actually build your own brand. You need to be solving, not selling. I've said it. It's not up for debate. Do you want to be an influencer? What does that mean, and why do you care? Got to kill the script. Authenticity right now is not scripted, just so you know. And finally, if you're doing this to build the brand. So let's get right into it. Likability. Is that the #1 slide we got up here, or is it authentic? No, it's authenticity, isn't it? Let's talk about authenticity. So, Keenan, if you had to define authentic, because you are all over this, you are in video, you are in post after post after post, you are yelling at your tribe, you are giving them advice, you are bringing it. Talk to me. What is authenticity, and why do people have such a hard time doing it?
Look, authenticity, simply put, is not self-censoring. That's what it is. It's not self-censoring. We try to overcomplicate it. So, being authentic isn't being the bad guy in the room or saying what other people won't say or swearing or whatever. None of that's authentic, right? Authenticity is knowing who you are and then just not censoring yourself. It's that simple, right? But unfortunately, we live in a world where censorship is almost expected, and we're expected to environmentally switch. And not to get really deep on you guys, but I think is what is really highlighting this concept of switching is, back in the day when you went to the office, you acted one way, and when you were at the company picnic, you acted another way. When you were at home with your friends, you acted another way. Without your friends somewhere else, you acted another way, and they were all switching. Well, we didn't really pay much attention to that, but now you see it because as our country becomes more and more interracially mixed, we're learning something called code switching, where people of different ethnicities feel they have to act different ways in different social settings based on the color of their skin or their background. So I just say authenticity is not buying into any of that shit, just being you and not self-censoring.
Now, when you say that, you've taken heat because not everybody agrees with you, and I've given you heat, and we'll get to that in a second on swearing as it relates to authenticity. But how do you respond for those who haven't seen your videos, those who haven't had the benefit of watching you respond when people say, dude, you have to mirror. I know gap selling isn't about mirroring. In fact, it's against mirroring. But when they say you have to mirror, you have to respect your audience. I'm going to talk differently to my wife than I will to my kid, than I will to my work colleague, than I will to my sales prospect, because I don't want to risk offending them, losing the deal. I don't want to scare it away when I can easily control who I present. How do you respond to that?
You're self-censoring. And who's to say how you're supposed to talk to them? Whose rules are we playing by? Seriously, who says? They used to say you had to wear a suit. Are you not getting any business anymore because you're not wearing a suit, Daryl? No. You're not wearing a fucking suit, and you're doing just fine. And before the suit, men had to wear hats and overcoats, and women had to wear skirts and dresses and had to wear blouses. And that was professional. And that's what you did. People aren't doing that anymore. Are they losing business? It's who the hell made these rules up. That's my point. What you don't do is you don't disrespect the other person by attacking them personally, saying different disrespectful things. Look, when I'm talking on a video, I'm all passionate. I'm yelling. I'm talking to 1 to 1,000,000. I'm not yelling at them. I'm just yelling out of excitement. When I'm talking to a buyer on the phone, it's not authentic to me to scream, and then you got to buy this, and you got to do. No, I'm talking to a person. I'm having a conversation. So in my conversation, my authenticity in a conversation is I ask a lot of questions. I want to get to know who they are. I'm trying to understand their world because I feel more comfortable when I understand somebody's world. So me being authentic is actually asking more questions, having more of a dialogue with somebody one-on-one, whether it's my wife or my kids or my boss. That thing doesn't change. No, it changes when my kids do something wrong and yell at them. But outside of that, no, I am who I am across all those things. So authenticity just says, why are you code switching? Why are you the husband role and then the boss role and then the father role? Why are you code switching? You should be the same person all the time.
All right. So do you agree that is received equally across all age demographics? I would contend that, if I was 20, 25 years old, I'm like, yeah, preach, brother. If I'm 45, 50, 55 years old, when I began my career in a different era, I'm going to say to you, bull, because there's a different role and a different purpose. Notice, by the way, I said bull. Everybody, I didn't say bull. Yeah. Okay. That's okay. I know, but I'm coming back to that. But is that a demographic base? Is that an age thing? Is that or is that across the board? Because you and we're of similar vintage, although you look better. So is that an age thing? Is that acceptable?
I think it's an attitude thing. Look, here's the other thing about authenticity. If you're using authenticity, the measure of authenticity is that everybody likes you, then authenticity is a loser. But I argue, what's the flip side? Nobody dislikes you? Okay, good for you. Nobody dislikes me. Yay for me. But no one remembers me. No one knows who I am. No one's drawn to me. Right? I'd rather 1,000 people drawn to me and they're like raving fans and 1,000 people that can't stand me than 2,000 people that don't like me or dislike me. There's a great, what? I wish I found this. There's a great SpongeBob episode. I love SpongeBob, where he becomes normal. I'm the normal SpongeBob. And all of his little sponge pores go away, and he's got a smile, ding, like a little sparkle, and his edges are, how it's a sponge, they're rounded now, and he doesn't upset anybody, and he doesn't do anything wrong, and you can't dislike him, but you can't like him.
All right, so I'm going to be the every person on this discussion. They're out there watching this right now, and they're going, Keenan, I agree with you. I want to be you, but I'm not you. And I don't have a best-selling book, and I don't have a massive following. And if I were genuinely myself, and I was dropping the F-bomb in meetings because I'm being authentic, and I'm being forthright and in your face on social media, I'm going to get my ass fired. I'm not going to have any career prospects. I'm not you. How do you respond to that?
I think the first thing is I'd ask you, why do you if you are naturally that way, you can only temper it so much anyway. So if you're naturally high energy and you're naturally loud and you naturally have a tendency to use F-bombs or swear, then it's not like you're in the office. Hey, Bob, how are you today? You already have it. You're just tempering it a little. So just let people already know part of who you are. Just let it all out, right? But on the flip side, this whole idea of authenticity doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean swearing. Authenticity could mean that you're extremely giving and you're very affectionate. And so when you meet people for the first time, your authentic self says, give them a hug. I love giving people a hug. So, but you don't because you're at the office. You're all scared. Give someone a hug, right? If you're really a giving person and you like to walk around and helping people, but you're afraid to do it because your boss will say you're not spending enough time on your work, fuck your boss. Go help somebody. But it's not just about being out loud. It's being who you are. I can't get this enough. Like who you are as a person if you weren't self-censoring for everybody else.
So what I love about what you just said, and I think a lot of people miss this, because I think, candidly, a lot of people assume authenticity is exactly what you just said. It's in your face, it's dropping, colorful language, it's having really bold, brash opinions, when the reality is you nailed it. You said if you're a hugger, if you're a lover, if you're just a, gosh, golly, great next door neighbor, be that. But your point is, don't put on the air of somebody else, because your colleagues and your prospects see right through that and it comes across as fake.
Yes. So I don't know where all these cartoons are coming out, but a great example of being authentic is what is the Simpsons' next door neighbor?
Yeah, I know who you
Ned.
mean. Ned. Yeah.
He is 100% authentic.
He is.
Right? That's it right there. He's 100% authentic. That's what I mean by that. Doesn't mean loud. Just be you. Figure out who the hell you are and be you all the time.
Hot diddly do, neighbor. Good to see you. I totally agree with that. So now let's go one step further. Okay, so we're being authentic. I am a nice guy. I'm, that's who I am. I'm going to keep on being that. I'm not going to be Keenan in your face loud. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be Ned. But I'm going to be Ned. Now, this is where I'm going to call you out. You knew I was going to call you out on this. There is lots of discussion around your choice of language. And I'm going to put it out there because you have done a fantastic job, and I loved it. Multiple videos you're saying, I've been called the F out because of my effing language, and I've tried to change my language. And when I go on stage, because those people have said, the people who are paying me to go on stage say, please don't use that language. I just can't be me, and I stumble because it's not who I am. And this is me. And others have called you out. I didn't call you out per se, but I did challenge you. And for the audience, this is how I challenged Keenan, and I want to hear your response. My point to Keenan in our conversation was, okay, let me get this straight. You, as a world caliber sales coach and trainer, are constantly teaching your clients new skills so they can succeed, that are at first blush, at first use, are uncomfortable. They're awkward. You're going to stumble when you implement some of those things because it's just not natural to you. I'm not buying that you can't control your language. You can't be you, because my point is this: why would I risk alienating an audience? I can still be authentic, but why would I risk alienating an audience who might not like that language? I can be bold, that's me. I can be in your face, that's me. But why would I risk alienating them if I don't have to? In other words, you can teach yourself that skill, and the first few times it won't be easy, but by the third or fourth or fifth time on stage, it will just be another version of authentic Keenan that isn't using that colorful language. How do you respond, my good friend?
Okay. First off, I don't want to change it. So
that's new information. Right? That's new information. I like that answer, though, because you're honest.
I want to change it. You don't want to hire me, don't hire me. Right? Number one. Number two, is it authentic if I have to train myself to respond to other people's requests and wants to fit their desire? Right? Number three, where do we draw the line? So let's just say that I do train and stop, right? Now people come and say, look, I love that Keenan. He's high energy, but he's kind of loud. He's yelling. If you just brought it down a little, boy, that would make things better. So now do I bring it down a little? So now I don't yell. I have my passion, but I'm not quite as loud in the voice. So let's say I do that. Then I go on stage and someone says, look, this Keenan was awesome. I love this stuff, but he's in sneakers and he's in jeans and they're rolled up and he's got this plaid shirt on. He's not very professionally dressed. He looks like a street thug. I mean, he'd do so much better if he just wore a suit and looked good. Where's the line, Daryl? Where's the line? Seriously, tell me where the line is.
I agree. But so that's a fair point. So I would go back a step in time, right? So if your client comes to you and says, I want to pay you X dollars, I want you to speak in my conference. One condition, you can't swear. Or
I don't do it. I don't do it.
Or hear me out. Or one condition, you can't wear the sneakers. Or one condition, you got to wear a suit. Or one condition, you can't be loud. Whatever that may be. That's your choice, right?
Yes.
Do we agree?
Yes.
So I guess the question is, where's the line on how authentic you are while keeping the most opportunity to make money and generate awareness and generate exposure? Where's that line? In my point of view, I get the sneakers and the suit comment, but I think your segment of that audience is going to be offended is infinitesimally small. I think the swearing thing, I think it's a much larger audience. I'm not saying it's huge. It's larger. And so I guess my question would be to you is, are you intentionally choosing not to do it? And if so, I ask you to respect that.
No, I am. So okay. The last piece I didn't hit you is, could I do it? Yes, I could. And I've given some thought to it. Like yesterday, I was in a training and I get fired up in training and I dropped a couple F-bombs. And I guess the people next door could hear and they, and so they came in and asked my client to ask me to watch my language, right? So for the most part, I did okay, but it still came out because whether people agree with this or not, I don't use bad language gratuitously. I'm not like a truck driver. F this and give me that F that, and this effing thing and that effing thing. If you go back and listen to my stuff, the majority of the time, it's a lead up to bam, right? It is driving a really big point home. And so it comes out automatically when I know a point's coming. So if I go back and try to change that, it's going to change my delivery because either I've conditioned myself to say frickin' or something else, or the energy isn't flowing and I make a mistake. So I just said, you know what? No, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to change who I am. And here's the last part. I want your opinion on this one. I think people who are offended by bad language in a speech or a professional environment are full of shit, because they'll go home tonight and they'll watch Game of Thrones and they'll go home and they'll listen to Eddie Murphy and they'll go home and get on Netflix and they'll watch Handmaid's Tale and deal with all that crap. And then the audacity to say I'm unprofessional because I say it on stage. No.
So I 110% agree with you. However, people are people. All right. So are they hypocritical? Absolutely. I think if I wrap it all up in a bow here, what I'm hearing out of this is being authentic kind of means just be who you are. Exactly like Keenan just said. If you're loud and bouncing and full of energy and you're like, bam, as he says, with the colorful language to bring it to that crescendo, that's you. If you're a loving, hugging, sweet person, that's you. But don't put on this false air of who you're not because you're trying to please somebody. People see through that. Now, so what I want to do is I'm going to move on to the next slide, because the next slide is really about symptoms, about why people struggle with authenticity. And you talked about it already. And I believe the next slide is all about likability. So some people struggle with authenticity because either they really want to be liked, and I see this over and over and over again, or they're afraid, I guess they want to be liked, and so therefore they don't have the courage to put an opinion out there because you might not like me.
Yes, they're afraid of being disliked.
Yes, 100%.
Yep.
And what kills me is this. So here's how you see it manifested. Not everybody will agree with me on this one, but I'll use your post as an example, but it could be anybody's post. I see Keenan put something out there with video, and this is my thoughts, and what do you guys think? And I see like, bam, 100, 200 comments. And if I distilled 90% of those comments, they all said this. Yes, what you said. I don't care about those comments. There's no brand or authenticity there. You're a bunch of sycophants. I love you, but you're sycophants. You're sucking up to Keenan, hoping he sees that you're going at a boy and you're going to be in his good books. And maybe he does. Who knows? My point is, have a take. If you do it respectfully, but with data, they will like you. They may not agree with you, but they will like you.
Yeah. Look, I'm not afraid to disagree with people all the time. And I love people that disagree with me. I love a good debate. Oh, I love a good debate. Like, let's get it on. Let's go. Right. But yeah, I think people are afraid to disagree with people. One, because I think most of the time they can't back it up. Sorry.
Yes.
Most people have opinions and they cannot back them up. They don't read. Look, I'm about to drop a video on this, and I got to be in a softer mood when I do it, or I'll get all fired up and really piss people off. I go to so many trainings, and I interview so many salespeople, and I talk to people all the time and ask them, what's the last book you read, and how long ago was it? And it's almost always over a year or two ago. And then I'm like, you're investing no time in your freaking career. So you know they're not investing time in all kinds of other stuff that actually gives them educated opinions besides some stupid blurb they got on Facebook. So that's why they don't do it. They're not invested in trying to understand their space, invested in trying to be an expert for themselves, not an influencer, just expert for themselves, where they can offer value to a conversation, to a post or something. They just can't do it.
You nailed it. And I rack my head, and I've had this conversation with so many sales and marketing professionals, and I'm going, I don't get this. You're getting paid tens upon tens of thousands of dollars a year. You have career aspirations. You probably went to school and dropped a crap load of money. I almost said the S word.
It's natural when you get it right.
And then all of a sudden, you just stop investing? Like, what am I missing here? How can you grow and achieve your career aspirations and actually add value to your own success or your own organization if you're not making that small pittance of investment, and it is a small, with a huge ROI? I do not get it.
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this, and then we'll move on. The likability thing. The biggest thing is I hear often as well, if it's not about conflict, they don't want to be disliked, is that, again, related to the whole, we talked about this already a little bit, I might alienate a segment of the audience that I may have to sell into. Therefore, I'm just going to be nice. I don't want to put a take out there in case it offends somebody. And I think that goes back full circle to what you were saying. Just be yourself, but have an informed decision. I have never lost a deal because somebody thought I was an ass, even though they disagreed with me.
Yeah. Look, you have to, I think this is one of your slides, so I don't want to get too far ahead, but you have to, if you're being authentic, that means you've done the self-awareness. That means you really understand who you are. You're in tune with who you are. You like who you are. You have confidence in who you are, and you feel good about your external presence. And so therefore, you're secure in the idea that if somebody doesn't like you for that, it doesn't faze you. Right? That doesn't phase you. I think that's the hardest part. I think a lot of people are still trying to figure out if they like themselves. Right? And so if you're not even sure if you like yourself, if you're not even sure who you are, what you bring to the table, the value you bring to other people, if you don't understand that, then putting yourself out there in some perceived authentic way and have people start coming at you or alienating people or having some people say they don't like you, that could be devastating. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like when people attack me either, but every year water just runs off my back because I'm like, this person doesn't get it. I don't care. They're not in my world. I'm fine. I love me. I know who I am. I know the value I bring to people. I know what I mean. I know what I try to do. I know what my life's visions and goals are. I know what kind of dad I am. You are not going to get to me by giving me a hard time about my authenticity. Just like you're not going to get to me and say, Keenan, you're a fat slob. Okay. If you think so, great, but I know I'm not. So it's really? So that's how I look at it. If I don't see myself as the way they see me, it can't bother me.
Now, there's people out there or saying, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not wired that way and it will bother me?
Well, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, life's too short.
Life's
And
too
I don't
short.
think you're wired that way. Yeah, I don't think you're wired that way. Look, we have been trained since children to fit in. Trained since children to fit in, right? So this has been a 51-year journey. If you're 40 years old and all of a sudden you think I'm going to be authentic now, that's going to be a long road, because you got to figure out who you are first. Then you got to get comfortable with who you are. You got to figure out where you've been putting on airs and where you've been faking it, where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and you got to get out there and start working that. Right? You got to make calluses and stuff. This just isn't, oh, here I am. Okay, let's go. We've been trained to fit in for 45 years, particularly, or for since we were born. And for those of us who are in our 50s, it was much worse than it is now.
What I like about what Keenan just did, if you're watching here, guys, is a couple things. You may have noticed it, but he said multiple times he shared his age. He's 51. Guess what? I'm 51 too. High five, brother.
Hey, 68, sweet.
I love it. So, but here's the thing. He, by sharing his age, he maybe put at risk that an ageism thing would creep in, and therefore he could have not shared his age to avoid that and make sure his posse was still loving him. But he wasn't. He was authentic. He said, here I am. Here's my age. And by the way, 51's freaking awesome, because we know a lot of shit that you guys don't know.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And we're willing to share it with you. So I love you talked about self-awareness. That is our next slide. What I want to share is a little bit about how I'm self-aware and how critical this is. So we just talked about likability. We also talked about being yourself and being authentic. I know I am a little bit in your face. I'm direct. I'm self-aware that that is my style. So I intentionally go to great lengths to not always be that way, to mix it up. Otherwise, I just get a bad reputation and people tune me out. So quite often, I'll be a smart ass in comments. I'll mock myself. I'll just give words of affirmation, or I'll share something and just put it out there and let it float. I choose when to be that person, to be in your face. That's how I am self-aware. I am also self-aware that I know that I will not be liked by everybody. My style is going to annoy some people, and I accept that. Oh, well, I love you too, dude. But that's self-awareness. How are you self-aware, Keenan? What do you know about you, and what can people learn from your self-awareness?
Well, I know a lot about myself. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start with this. How
much time we got? Yeah.
So, here we go. So the self-awareness you just described is your impact on other people. So self-awareness goes much beyond just our impact on other people. So I'll start there. I know that I am very in your face. I know I am very high energy. I know that I am blunt. Here's one. I know that I'm more blunt and direct than I realize I'm blunt and direct. So there's been times where I think I'm being completely soft and really trying to be careful, and they're like, God, that was pretty harsh. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, what? So
you ever watch your videos afterwards and go, wow, I was harder than I thought I was? I do that all the time.
Okay, not on my videos, because I'm going full board. And to me, a video, this is an interesting one. On my videos, I'm speaking to 100,000 people in my head. Yep. And so I feel no obligation to try to figure out which one person I'm talking to. I'm letting you self-select. I'm not selecting you. Does that make sense? So I'm not worried about that. Yes, but if I'm, let's say you and I went out to lunch and or worked together, and we got into a chat, or you asked for my feedback, or you said something that upset me, that how I choose to interact with you and share my opinions and express myself sometimes can be misperceived as being too direct, even when I'm trying not to be direct. So I double, triple it down in sensitive situations, just to make sure that when my objective is not to be harsh, I go 6 layers layer just because I don't want to be harsh by accident. So I know I'm harsh. I know I'm direct. I know I'm intense. I know there's a lot of energy around me, and I have to be very aware of the impact that has on people negatively, but which is cool, positively. I literally was at a client 2 days ago, and he said, you came into it was funny. I was bored. They were doing something. I had like 10 minutes. I was bored. I went into the CRO's office, and he goes, what I love about you? I was sitting there and I was having a cranky day, and you came in bored and did this and did that. I felt great when you left. Right. Yeah. So I have an energy that can go positive or negative, and I just have to know it and use it accordingly. Now, I want to throw this one last thing out. We talk about this idea of our impact on others. And what I want people to understand is when you understand your audience and you tweak your authenticity for the context of the situation, that's not being inauthentic. And what I mean by that is this. Let's just say you're a 235-pound NFL running back. The bench press is 400 pounds. And you're playing football. And you're hard charging. And you're a guy that gets after it and you go. And now you're playing tag with 10-year-olds in the park. You still can be the hard charging guy that says, you got to run faster, son. And you don't just let them win. But you certainly don't plow them over and stamp their feet, right? You bring it down because of the audience. You don't change. You bring it down. Right? Or if it's the other way, you bring it up, whatever the case may be. You can still play in your lane without code switching. So I think that's important to recognize.
So the audience, what I want our audience here to understand is exactly to that point is, it's context, right? Be self-aware of your own tendencies, your own habits. Don't be inauthentic. And I know this is going to get a little gray at times. You're thinking, well, am I being inauthentic? Am I not being inauthentic? Am I code switching or what have you? I know, and mostly because I have a wonderful wife who just knows me from when I was a much younger person and has no issue telling me as it is. I'm self-aware because she reminds me, God bless her. Yeah. She'll say, Daryl, you don't understand. And by the way, I laugh when she says this. You don't understand how intimidating you can be to some people. Oh, and by the way, sometimes you come across as an arrogant dick. So, and she's 100% right. But the funny part is I don't intend to be intimidating. So I need to bring it down 6 levels. What's that?
You don't even feel it yourself. You'll feel like you're being a dick.
Exactly. Yes. So to your point, sometimes I'm meeting somebody new or whatever. I got to bring it down 6 levels a little bit, let them meet me and get to know me. And then I'll ratchet it back up again because there's a relationship established. So self-aware. So I guess from your sales training point of view, what should people do to be aware of their own issues, shortcomings, insecurities? Is it talk to a loved one? Is it just have an honest conversation with yourself? Is it observe yourself, if you will, an out-of-body experience and watch yourself? I mean, these are all things I've done, but you tell me.
Yes, and yes. I think the first thing, and I don't know, you'll probably give me a better word, but the first thing is to be open to discovering things about yourself that you're not good at. That's the very first thing. Like, you have to be willing to say, okay, I don't like this about me, or, well, this could be me and it doesn't feel good, but I got to be real that isn't really me, right? So I think the first big piece is just being okay with not being perfect, right? Knowing you have faults and knowing that not everybody's going to like you, and knowing that there's parts of you that are less than appealing. There's parts of you that are less than appealing, but that just comes with being human. That just comes with being a person, getting okay with those, right? I think it starts there, not trying to be perfect.
It goes back full circle to being authentic. In other words, don't pose. Stop being a poser. Just be yourself. And let me give you an example of a poser where some people, I believe, are not self-aware, and some people will not like this. I'm apologizing in advance, but it's true. I see this a lot. And Keenan, I'd be curious to get your reaction on this one. I see a lot of people posing as bros, but they won't admit they're bros, but they want to fit into the bro culture and high five and backslap and, way to go. And what you don't realize is that when you're doing that, A, that's probably not who you are. B, you are offending people who are not bros, often the women who are your colleagues. Just be you, and you're going to be way more successful. Stop trying to fit in.
Yeah. So I like that. And so what's interesting is, how do you say it? The establishment we always default to the establishment as the norm. So when someone's trying to fit into the bro culture, we say, hey, don't try to fit in. What a message I want to deliver too is, if you're trying to fit into the suit and tie professional club, you're trying to fit in. But because the establishment we go to that as the default, that's the norm. I argue, who said it's the norm? So that's my whole point. Going back to where we came from before. We'll take all the subculture groups and say, don't try to fit into the bro culture. Don't try to fit into the Keenan swearing culture. Don't try to fit into the lovey-dovey. This, just be you. Well, we don't say don't fit into the suit, tie, professional, buttoned up, sophisticated club because we think that's the norm. I say no. I say no, it's not the norm. And that's why I don't subscribe to it. I don't like it at all. I think it's actually a big, giant bucket of self-centered people who are too afraid to take any risk, follow the freaking leader, do what everybody else does, and don't stick out. Hide until I get through my career.
So if you're self-aware, and I love where Keenan's coming from, if you're full circle now, if you're self-aware of who you are and what you're about, be that person. Get a job at that place that honors you to be that person. That will allow you to be authentic. Just be that person. And if you do that, people will, ironically, like you. Let's move on.
Love you.
No, I knew.
Love you.
I said to my colleagues, Keenan and I are either just going to do this or we're going to have a loving, because I know we're so alike in so many ways. I just don't have your good looks in your best-selling book. But, you know, other than that. So
go ahead and sure.
Product, baby. It's all product. It's all it is. Solving, not selling. I see too many people, as you're building your brand, you're all about selling. You know what that says? That says your brand is about a transaction that helps you. Stop doing it. Solve people's problems. Your brand will just go poof like you wouldn't believe.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Yes.
Done.
I said this in my training yesterday. People are selfish, and I don't mean it in a bad way. There's an age-old philosophical debate. Can people be selfless? I fall on the side that says they cannot be selfless. We're all selfish. Now, we can be selfish for good reasons. We can be selfish in ways, what's the word? Philanthropic ways, I guess, for lack of a better word. Right? We can be selfish philanthropically, right? But we're still selfish. Mother Teresa, many would say, was selfless. No, she wasn't selfless. Do you know how much she got by doing what she did? She didn't hate doing that every day. She wasn't forced to do that every day. That was her calling. She loved God. She loved Jesus. She loved the Catholic Church. She wanted to help these kids. She was being selfish in her giving, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So if we understand or accept that people are selfish, the best way to their heart and the best way to move is to give. Just give. So you start solving problems. People can naturally gravitate to you because they're getting something from you. They're taking from you 24/7, right? And so just create an environment where people can take from you, and you'll have a lot of followers, and you'll have a lot of friends, and you'll have a lot of takers. All
right. So let's move on to the next slide. Building off you have a lot of followers, you have a lot of takers. This is all about, I'm suggesting you, as you're building your own brand, you need to be an influencer. Now, let me paraphrase. I'm sorry. Let me clarify what I mean by that. I am not suggesting you need to have 50,000, 100,000 followers. You need to have books. You need to have videos. You need to have a massive posse. What I'm suggesting is an influencer adds value. They shape opinions. They inform and they educate. They don't follow. They lead. That's what I believe an influencer is all about. I believe that's critical to personal brand. And I watch so many reps not do this. They're content just to like LinkedIn posts after LinkedIn posts after LinkedIn posts. They're not an influencer. Thoughts?
I couldn't say any better. You're 100% right. 100% right. Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Shortest topic. We're just rocking now. I agree. Have a take. Okay, so let me ask you this question. I'd be curious your answer on this one. Why are people afraid to invest a few extra seconds to add value, to influence the conversation, to influence the process? Why? I don't get it.
I don't think they're afraid. I think they don't know. I literally don't think
they actually don't have the knowledge to do it. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah. So they can agree. They've heard it before, right? They've heard it before, or they disagree because they get a visceral reaction, but they can't add value because they don't have the intellect, or they don't have the knowledge.
So that's interesting. So if you're listening to this and you're feeling a little uncomfortable right now, then I'm thinking I'm going back full circle to what Keenan said earlier about investing in yourself, read some books, learn from the experts, apply that knowledge. And then once you've learned from real life experience by incorporating it, share the wealth with your colleagues and your peers. If you're not doing that, you'll never be that influencer.
No.
All
so
right.
look. One of my favorite quotes that I'm pushing these days. Every once in a while, I something come across something like, "Ooh, I got to push this." I like it a lot. It's don't merely practice your art, but force your way into its secrets. That's Beethoven, right?
Ooh.
What makes one doctor better than another? What makes one sales expert better than the average salespeople? What makes one CMO better than another? I believe it's the level to which they shape their craft. And the only way to shape your craft is to understand its secrets, because that allows you to manipulate the craft in a way to improve upon it. There are millions of people that can play Beethoven like a motherfucker. Right? They can crush it. Couldn't write that shit out of nowhere. Could not produce a piece of music for nothing. Right? So they don't know the secrets. They have not dug their way in. There are millions and millions of salespeople that can sell their ass off, but they don't know anything about the actual craft. They've not gone into the secrets. They've not been able to influence the craft or the art in a way to improve on it.
So let me share a personal story on that front. This is what I hear a lot when I talk to other marketers or other salespeople in the space. They'll say the following, and I know you've got stories like similar. They'll say, yeah, Daryl, but I just don't, I don't do video like you do. Like, it comes so easy to you. Or, I couldn't produce a live stream because I just don't understand the gear. I couldn't write that post because I suck at writing. All right, guys and gals, if you don't know this about me, based on my education in the first 8 years of my career, I was a computer programmer. I didn't go to school for video. I didn't go to school for being an on-air personality. I didn't know how to write. I didn't know how to do jack shit. All right. I learned, and then exactly to your point, I got deeper and deeper and deeper into it intentionally. And it was a lot of sweat equity and a lot of time. And then I experimented, and I had some wins and I had some losses. But over the decades, you go, oh, I can apply this. And this becomes a weapon. And now it's exactly what Keenan said. I love that Shakespeare quote. That's killer, brother. That's killer. All right.
So I want to throw something out at you here. Okay.
Okay, go for it.
I think this is, first off, you've said it several times. I know you're using examples, but I want to make sure the audience understands. The question is, or the statement is, I can't do video like you. I can't write like you. You're not supposed to do it like me. Like, you're not supposed to do it like me. So first stop. Will Smith, I can't do video like Will Smith. I'm not even going to try. I'm going to do video like Keenan, right? That's how I'm going to do it. Okay?
Preach it, brother.
So the only thing I can say to you is, listen, if you can't write, if you can't speak, and if you can't, how do I say this? Can't do video, you can't represent yourself on video, then yeah, you're fucked. Because that's basically, okay? That's just life. So if you can't do one of those three things, you've got much bigger problems than worrying about any social influence or anything like that. So stop it. So which one of those three do you do best? I didn't say you do good. Do well. You do well, right? Which do you do well? Which do you do best? Then start there. And then which do you feel most comfortable with? Of the three, if you do video best, if you feel most comfortable, do video. If it's writing, do a blog. If it's talking, do a podcast without video, right? But if you don't do any one of those three, yeah, you're fucked, and I can't help you, and I don't know how you got through life. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, man. You're killing it. I'm loving this. All right.
I don't know what to say.
No, I love it. All right, let's move on to the next slide, which is kind of related. The slide is called Kill the Scripts, which is all about have your own voice, speak from the heart, stop using off-the-shelf templates. If you're going to build your own brand, you can't use somebody else's template. You got exactly what we were just talking about. You can't use somebody else's spiel. You got to be you. You can build off of it. You can leverage it. But stop for all that's good in the world. Please stop using the scripts and the templates. I mean, learn from others, but just don't. And that's my pet peeve, by the way, Keenan. That's my real big pet peeve.
Authenticity comes from here. It comes from here. Scripts come from here. So if you want to be authentic, you got to go inward and let it come out. You can't be out and try to bring it in, right? It just doesn't work that way. So one of the reasons I yell and get all fired up is because I am keenly in tune to the emotion I'm feeling when I'm talking. They're direct. When a kid killed me, I felt it say it, right? So it took some years to work through that, but it's all connected. It's all connected. So that's how you do it. Just go with the in and let it come out.
I love it. All right, let's go to our last slide, which is really, the whole conversation today was about building your personal brand, authenticity, the whole essence of that. This is kind of my point of view, and I'm curious how it relates to your own personal story, Keenan. My perspective on building your brand is you have to play the long game. You are not going to be an overnight success. You will not be an over year or an over decade success. You got to play the long game. You got to build your audience. You got to mix it up. You got to figure out what it is you're the best at, exactly as Keenan talked about, and leverage that while then learning other skills. You have got to give yourself a timeline if you want to. Make sure it's reasonable. And if you exceed it, great. And if you don't hit that timeline, you should have figured that out a long time ago that you're going to miss it, and you should have revised your plan. But if you're going to build a brand, you need to be intentional. I would suggest, and I don't know this, we're going to find out right now, that Keenan didn't just one day wake up and say, I'm just going to write a book. Yeah, I just feel like it. I bet you it was kind of like step number 42 in his whole game plan of how he built his brand. All right. Do you have a brand building plan? What are your thoughts?
I mean, well, I have a brand defending plan now, I guess. But I didn't start, well, I guess you could have called it a brand. I didn't start out to be an influencer by any sense of the imagination. I was just another sales guy that loved selling. I was running sales organizations. I was doing well in my career, but my career was going really fast for my age. And so every time I needed a new job, I was like the youngest by 10 years in that type of position. And not only the youngest, but from quantifiable experience, I had less of it. So it's really hard to stay at my level without either having someone bring me with them or a recommendation in, because recruiters and other companies were like, you ran a $300 million business with 150 people nationwide, and you've only been working for 3 years? We don't believe you. Like, I couldn't convince them. So I started the blog, A Sales Guide, that's the name of my company, in 2009 with one goal. Just tell everybody what I did, show people how you manage sales teams, talk about the difficulties, just show people how to run sales, how I run sales teams, really is how it was. And I thought maybe 200 or 300, I get 200 or 300 followers. And then if I ever needed a job someday, I would just simply write on the blog, hey, I'm leaving this gig, I'm looking for something else. And that would be 200 or 300 people who love me because they know what I'm good about, say, ooh, I like him, I need to hire him, or tell somebody. That was my only objective. That was it. 2 years later, I'm getting 20,000 views a month, and 20,000 views a day, and no, a month. Wait, it doesn't matter. Getting a shitload of views, and people reaching out saying, hey, I've been following you for 2 years, and I love your stuff. And do you do consulting? Do you do training? Do you do coaching? And I was like, no. And after about 3 or 4 months, they came back and more people came back, and then I left my job, and I was like, okay, I got one choice. I spent 6 months to 8 months trying to find another senior executive VP job in sales, or I spent 6 to 8 months trying to grow this consulting business. I chose the consulting business, and I've never looked back.
But even when you grew your consulting business. I mean, you didn't stop with the blog. You understood you needed to keep on developing your community.
Yeah, I doubled down then, because then it was clear. I realized the relationship between content and inbound, right? So I've been doing this 8 years, 100% inbound. 8 years.
So what I really like about your story, and this a lot of lessons here for people, is that,
by the way, point, 8 years, all inbound, and you're asking me if I'm losing business from swearing. Just saying.
Just putting it out there. You know, just imagine how big it would have been if you weren't swearing. Just putting it out there. You don't know. Oh, I'm messing with you. What I like about what Keenan was saying was he did have a plan. He started his blog because he needed to offset an objection he was getting. So what does that mean? He was already starting to be authentic. He was already starting to be an influencer by having a take and actually trying to guide and shape and teach people. People connected with him because he was authentic. And then his brand grew. Then he realizes that, hey, I'm onto something here. Now I have opportunities available to me that I didn't have before, simply because I was authentic and I was myself. And when people would meet me, the brand they saw on the screen is the same brand they saw in person, and it was a connection. Now he saw the opportunity, he could double down, and away you go. That's the long game. It's no different than when I came to VanillaSoft, all my LinkedIn connections were marketers. Go figure, I'm a CMO. I had to get to know the sales community better, and I simply did it with the long game. And I have a long ways to go. I can only hope to be in Keenan's stratosphere someday. But I know today, I appreciate it, brother. I know today I'm a lot further ahead than I was a year and a half ago because I'm playing the long game. If you're going to build a brand, invest in you. That's our advice. As simple as that. And just be authentic. Full circle how we began. Build your brand by being authentic. Don't believe me. Believe that man right there, because he's living proof.
You know, everybody, if you don't want to follow me because I've been 9 years, you're like, I got 9 years. I don't want to invest that. I need something smaller. Go look at Larry Levine.
Selling from the heart.
Larry and selling from the heart. He's the epitome of someone committing to a brand. He's older too. I think he's my age or a couple of years older. Committing to a brand. He was a copier salesman. He's not big and loud, but he's built an amazing brand, an amazing following by being his authentic self, doing his thing, laying down his guidelines, laying down his values, and he's developed a phenomenal one. And he's done it in 18 months, 2 years.
And it's true. Larry is very genuine. And to that point, my first sales job was selling photocopiers. Just saying. Boom, there you go. Okay, so let's bring up the final slide there where we see our pictures and our emails. So if you're watching this on demand and you have a picture, you have a question for me, you have a question for Keenan, there's our email address. All right, so you see it, we'll put it up there, and then maybe when that's done, we're going back to the final pictures, we'll wrap this puppy up. My good friend Keenan, if people want to get to know you more, they want to reach out to you, maybe they want to engage you, they want to read your book, give us the whole, details about how to reach you, how to get to know you better, how to follow you.
Best is salesguy.com. You can find me there. LinkedIn under Keenan Dot. And Amazon, Gap Selling. But if you go to salesguy.com, you will, there's your home base.
I got to ask a question. Why is it Keenan Dot? I notice every time I tag you, that dot comes up and annoys the crap out of me. You have to get rid of it because it looks like it's an extra space in a dot. Why is it Keenan Dot?
You used to be a computer programmer. Why do you think that dot's there? Tell me, why do you think I'm asking? What?
I'm assuming it's a statement.
No, you're a computer programmer. You were.
Yeah.
Why do you think the dot was or is there?
I don't know. Tell me.
It's a
field.
You
got me. Yeah, I understand a field.
It's a field. They wouldn't let me put nothing.
Oh, you're working around the system LinkedIn itself because it's first name, last name, you and the dot. Gotcha.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah,
well,
it's required field.
I'm giving you the hint. And it's amazing.
I gotcha. You did.
It's amazing how much this world, I understand why, but how much this world fights people who want to go by one name. So, like, I write for the HBR, Harvard Business Review. Well, I had written for them. I wrote for Forbes. They wouldn't do it. They flat out, the best I could get them to let me do was J. Dot. Unless I have to go and legally change my name to just Keenan, they won't do it. So talk again, this idea of authenticity and in the system. There are people who are so entrenched in the system that they will force you not to be who you are, to follow their rules.
It's true. No, it's totally true. And I love it, right? Because I've had so many people say to me, so Keenan, does he have like a first name? I'm like, yeah, he does. But he's just Keenan. Just like Madonna's just Madonna, all right? That's only, there you go. So that's my story. I aged myself using the Madonna reference. Maybe I should have used like Beyonce or Lady Gaga. I don't know. Regardless, brother, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate the honest discourse, how authentic it was. I've had a blast. And I know I shall see you on the speak, and I will see you online. And I'm still going to give you a hard time on swearing, but I know that we're connected because we're being authentic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You know what's funny? I'll leave you with this, and all you people. It made me think of something. You're going to give shit on swearing, but you swore at least 3 times after we got going.
I know.
And it's like, you know why I believed it? It's because it was like we were talking at a cafe.
Yep.
Right? We kind of forgot that everybody's going to be listening. And when we sit at a cafe and talk, 90% of the time, some of us will drop out swears. We're passionate. It's a good conversation. We're not doing it for public consumption. So I argue that if your natural conversation is to drop a swear in here when you're sitting in a cafe, you're self-censoring for everybody else on a bigger stage. And that's why I've made the decision. And we can end it. What's the or?
I swore because you were swearing, and I felt totally comfortable doing it. Totally agreed. My point was on LinkedIn, there's more than just you and I, and you risk alienating, and that's just a conscious decision. I don't think either way is wrong. You just, like we talked about here, you be cognizant of the choices you make, and if you make that choice, for example, to swear, then you know there's going to be consequences. And if you're cool with that, don't complain about it. It is what it is, and move forward and be yourself. Be authentic. So there you have it.
You've never heard me about it. All right, baby. This was awesome. Love you. You're a stud. I really, really enjoyed this. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for letting me be myself.
Hey, dude, anytime. In the meantime, I'm Daryl Prell. I'm with VanillaSoft. We are the world's most successful sales engagement platform. Check us out at vanillasoft.com. Thanks for joining us today, guys. We will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.